I grew up in a small town in western Iowa. I graduated from Perry High School, and I didn't have enough money to go to college, so I enlisted in the National Guard. Went to basic training and then went to my advanced training the year after that. It was a split program, so I went to the University of Iowa in between the basic training and my advanced training. At the University of Iowa, I was an outpatient pharmacy technician, so I would interact with the patients, and I would also see drug reps come in, and it seemed like a really good job, whereas you know so much about this one specific medicine that you can speak knowledgeably with a pharmacist or a physician. They seemed like a real resource. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to be a pharmaceutical rep in the first place.
My name is Ken Nolan. I am a partner in the law firm of Nolan and Auerbach, PA. We represent qui tam whistleblowers under the Federal False Claims Act. The False Claims Act is an enormously effective and powerful law, and it provides for powerful remedies on behalf of the federal government against contractors, companies, healthcare providers that choose to defraud the government.
It provides a weapon that allows private citizens to take on the Goliaths, the fraudsters, by stepping into the shoes of the federal government, prosecuting the actions on behalf of the federal government, and receiving a reward for taking a risk both for their livelihoods and for their standing within the community. And at the end of the day, to the benefit of the federal government and the American taxpayer.
There was a new division created. The whole point of it was to go out and educate the speakers. They wanted to make sure that everyone knew what they were talking about if they were going to get up in front of a group of physicians. It was a very open job description. I don't think they even knew what they were going to do with us to start with, so they were open to suggestions. And we were valued voices within the organization, experienced reps who knew their studies, knew the data, and had good relationships with the thought leaders. It wasn't the job that I had planned on doing. It wasn't about educating the physicians and going through slide decks and bringing them new studies. It became, I was the manager of all of these speaker events. And there were specific quotas and budgets that had to be met and had to be spent. Here is $100,000 that you need to use for speaker programs. I was the one who oversaw who got checks and who was getting paid and who wasn't.
Typically, these individuals have been working in companies sometimes for their entire careers, and through one mechanism or another become aware of fraud, perhaps management changed, perhaps they're sent to a different division. And in my experience, these are very principled people. They will not put up with fraud.
There was a meeting that we had in Las Vegas. I remember the director of sales standing on the stage saying, "Our goal is to have the most medical events of any other pharmaceutical company." Well, who cares? If you have the most events, but none of them are quality, and you have the same 3 guys showing up every Wednesday night for the dinner club, what impact are you making on the patients? We're all about the patients. Patients first. We're doing this because we care about the patients, but really, it was about the money instead.
My name is Marcella Auerbach. I'm partner at Nolan Auerbach. There are a number of kickback schemes that involve physicians where they are incentivized to write prescriptions for certain drugs. There are speaker programs, honorariums that they're paid, roundtable discussions at dinners and lunches.
I saw more and more of that in the role that I had with the customer solutions specialist. And it just got worse. It started going downhill very fast. It was around the summer of 2007. We had multiple programs, and I would get angry calls from managers. Hey, why didn't you get my family care physician in the speaker training, and we need this guy on board. They were clamoring to get, I want to get this guy speaker trained. I want this guy to be speaker trained, this guy. Everyone was speaker trained. And then they started speaker training family practice physicians, folks who aren't even thought leaders at all. These are supposed to be well-respected specialists that go out and bring new pieces of information to the medical community. And it wasn't that way. It turned into an absolute joke. It was a circus.
There are subcultures within companies. Some are ethical, some aren't. And we interface with the ones that aren't.
You could have 3 events going on in the same town on the same night. This guy's speaking, this guy's speaking. Let's just get him a check. What they wanted us to do in our position is hold their feet to the fire to say, you're a thought leader on this. You need to get clinical experience with these products. You need to prescribe these drugs. And at that point, I just completely lost it. I didn't want to do the job anymore because it was inducement. It had turned into something that was a kickback for the physician, and part of my job was to hold that physician accountable for clinical experience. The reps would go in and say, hey, we'll get you 3 speaker programs, guarantee you 3 speaker programs, Dr. Family Practice, if you'll write our product for us.
Physicians who are in positions to increase utilization, if they're not prescribing, they're not going to be on the other end of kickbacks. They need to be prescribing.
The manager would look at the numbers and say, we gave Dr. X 4, 5, 6 programs over the past 8 weeks, and he's only written 18 prescriptions. Why is that? The manager would say this to the rep. They would say this to me. This guy needs to write more.
When you're dealing with pharmaceutical companies who employ thousands of employees, how few step forward? Our clients, and we tell them early on, no matter what happens in their case, they're our heroes.
I was personally just very distraught about what I was doing, what was going on. You know, I was having personal problems, and you know, it was affecting my life outside of work every day. Around the winter of 2007, that I knew something had to be done. I was somewhat familiar with the fact that you could report the company for violations. There had been plenty of impropriety, and I thought, you know, I might as well go forward with it. I might as well say something to someone.
Exposing the fraud is a small part of what these courageous individuals do.
They put a lot on the line to report. It's so much easier to do nothing. They are very concerned about patients. They just want to do something to make a difference.
Looking back, I would do it again today. I would do the same thing, because I think that ultimately it's us, the employees, who need to watch out for the company, because that's our company. You know, it's not the CEO who gets $5 million, $10 million a year. The employees are the ones who make the whole thing run. Without the employees, nothing happens. So So, you know, I believe that we do have that power to make our workplace better, to make our organizations better, to make our country better.